Hello everyone, I'm meteorologist Thomas Patrick. Thanks for joining us on this KREM 2 Plus exclusive live stream on today's Weather Impact Alert Day. Winter weather advisories having been issued for kind of an icy, snowy, wintry mix of weather that still remains to be plenty complicated for today. So we will walk you through how much longer we're going to see snow when rain starts to overtake the region. And we're also going to use this time to give some details on this weekend and next week's warm-up, which I wasn't able to get to in the newscasts on Up with KREM this morning because we'd been entirely focused on really this morning's commute and all the snowy and the icy weather that we had along the region. So expecting to go for about 30 minutes here, and we will give you every single little detail of what's happening today, tonight, tomorrow, and the week beyond, because it is going to be active and it is going to be messy for this week and a half of December. So we'll start with what you see behind me. These are the winter weather alerts, which are all winter weather advisories. These were issued at about 5 a.m. just as the snow was getting started around Spokane and most of eastern Washington. They had initially gone until 10 a.m. And for Spokane, it was allowed to expire, but every other advisory got extended until 1 p.m. for this afternoon. So that does go for about another 2 hours as we are broadcasting live just after 11 a.m. So Coeur d'Alene, you are still under a winter weather advisory until 1 p.m. Same for Ritzville and up to Grand Coulee. This zone also has the advisory until 1 p.m. Meanwhile, the Silver Valley and Lookout Pass, this advisory was originally issued through 4 a.m. tomorrow. This is more for mountain snow in North Idaho. And as snow levels climb to about 4,000 feet, the snow will be consistent at higher elevation. So Lookout Pass remains under a winter weather advisory until 4 a.m. tomorrow morning. So any drivers going over the passes should just expect a little bit more winter weather driving. So that's where we're at right now. Again, Spokane, you were able to see the advisories expire on time at 10 a.m. Here was the original forecast for snowfall and ice in the region. I wanted to show you off the front here. This was the forecast. I went 0 to 1. And that was very intentional because there's plenty of roadways, especially the major streets like I-90, that got plenty of treatment, and thus the snow didn't really stick to those particular roads. Meanwhile, it looked like my car got about almost an inch of fresh snow on it from this morning's batch of snow. I think that's a little bit devious in terms of trying to measure it on the car itself. I think based on how much snow was actually falling, I think it'd be a little bit more fair to say that we ended up at maybe 0.3, 0.4 inches of snow in Spokane, and maybe closer to half an inch or above for Coeur d'Alene and Post Falls, especially since it did start to pick up again. I think we're just going to be right in this line. The snow always was going to have a hard time really adding up and sticking to more than an inch unless you're out in the Silver Valley, St. Mary's, Moscow, where the snow will hang on a little bit deeper into the day today. And you're going to see Doppler radar in a moment. But I had put this area of freezing drizzle, this pink shaded, hatched, almost like gated area, that for Lincoln County and partly Spokane County because we were so close to the freezing mark, like 30 to 32 degrees, that any freezing rain, any freezing drizzle, any freezing mist or fog can oftentimes leave it a little bit icier than just 0 to 1 inches of snow. So I didn't want to undersell a little snowfall event, though most of it is behind us at the moment. So the areas that I'm focused on for the afternoon for this Thursday is more into the Palouse and into North Idaho from Coeur d'Alene and southward. So any of these yellow or orange shaded areas are really the remaining areas that are still going to see some snowfall today, though ultimately it's going to be warming up, which is kind of an underlying feature of what our forecast is going to entail here. You're going to see next week it's going to be nearly 50 degrees. What we get today is just the first stair step on our way to there. And it does affect our forecast even today as we go from snow to rain in just a few hours. But this is just what's remaining in terms of any winter weather impacts. I think Highway 195 could get some very light snow accumulations. More likely, it's probably just the shoulders of the road. We'll probably see a little bit of some white from the snow. The roads themselves with the traffic might fare okay. I know that major highways and the interstate have been pretty much okay this morning. Very wet, but passable because it has been a close call. So here's the storm system we've been watching. It is a stationary front. So basically this is not moving. It is stationary. We're on the cold side of it, which is to the north. And the moisture is just running alongside it, kind of parallel to this boundary. So all the moisture is coming from the North Pacific out of like Vancouver Isle and moving into Washington in that direction from northwest to southeast. So a lot of the rainfall is moving to the southeast. What we see right now is there's definitely this pocket of moisture that's right on top of kind of the southern half of the inland northwest. And that is where we're going to see the remainder of the rainfall today. You could almost draw a line exactly at I-90, or really Highway 2 in Lincoln and Grant County. Highway 2 and I-90 southward will remain under the rain and the snow mix for the rest of the day. Anywhere to the north, northeastern Washington, far north Idaho, you're kind of in the clear, save for maybe some misty conditions, but I don't think there's going to be any more proper snowfall, especially from about Athol to Deer Park and northward. You're pretty much clear for any more rain or snow for a few more hours here. The bulk of that precipitation very much where it is, and it will stay in that region. Let's tour Doppler radar. Let's zoom in at the local level. We'll start for Spokane and Kootenai County. We just got some reports about 5-10 minutes ago that it picked up over Post Falls pretty intensely just before 11 a.m. actually. So you might still be getting some snow accumulations along some side streets, like the non-treated, non-plowed roads. Those are the ones that are going to get a little bit more snowfall. I-90 itself is going to fare okay because of the attention and the treatment, the de-icer that goes down. That really helps a lot. That plus the traffic itself adds a little bit more heat into the roadways. But this is really the northernmost extent that we're seeing, maybe up towards Hayden along Highway 95 and Coeur d'Alene, a light to moderate snow right now. Is it going to stay that way? Yes, it'll probably change to rain at some point in the afternoon when it gets just a little bit warmer. I got the temperatures lined up in just a few graphics. Let's move to the south. Looks a lot more wet, especially along Highway 195. So here's Colfax and here's Pullman, and it's really that stretch of road that's getting the heaviest snowfall, though it is a wet snowfall. You're probably right at 32 degrees. So just be cautious along that stretch of the highway here. Again, there might be a little bit of snow buildup on the shoulders for sure. We'll see if that starts affecting the roads, especially with how wet this is. This is a very much moisture-packed region. Now from Moscow and eastward to areas like Drury, Elk River, even Orofino, there will be some lighter snow in this region. Notice though, Highway 12 from Lewiston to Orofino, you can almost see that the radar finds that the lower elevations finding a little bit more rain right on the highway itself. A couple degrees can make a difference. In this case, if you look at it vertically, it's just a couple 100 feet in terms of where that snow line, it's snowing and then at some point it starts to melt. Well, it's melting just before it's getting to the road, which is good news because that means it'll be wet and not icy. But it looks like Highway 12 is going to be okay. Anywhere north of there, in this north central Idaho region, especially in Latah County, you will experience probably a bit of snow accumulations. This is a spot where I had about 1 to 2 inches of snow. Still in the forecast, a wetter, slushier up to an inch for Pullman. Now the rain line's advancing. Here's La Crosse. And that green is going to start to take over from west to east as temperatures will start to warm. One area where that's happened is Ritzville. Notice how you started with pink, which by the way, pink represents either a rain-snow mix or it could be freezing rain. In this case, it looked like it was a rain-snow mix, and that rain is overtaking. So that means any snowfall is slowly becoming more and more raindrops. The more rain we see, the wetter it's going to be, but not icy. In fact, it should actually melt any kind of snow that may have fallen earlier today. That out of Ritzville as well as Lind. Hasn't quite gotten to Sprague, which is exactly where the I-90 marker is. Hasn't quite gotten to Cheney or Medical Lake yet. But you can see it's a slow advancement, but that rain will eventually get into Spokane County. Now we'll take it closer towards Grant County. Looks like areas near Grand Coulee to Coulee City. Still seeing some snow. It's this pink that I think could be some of the freezing rain. And it's this stretch of Highway 2, which is west of Coulee City. That could be a little bit icy. It is kind of just outside our viewing area. This would be over Douglas County. That could be very much icy. Again, as we get deeper into the day, it will likely get just 1 or 2 degrees warmer, which should be enough to melt any ice or snow accumulations that we saw in this region from the morning. By the way, from Ephrata to Moses Lake, it has been rain all morning long, so no worries there, especially if you're traveling westward on I-90. So back to Spokane, there's still a little bit of some light snow that's falling. I'm actually going to take you to a live picture of downtown Spokane. You can see honestly looks like water droplets. It's really close. It could be snow, it could be water droplets, just by looking at the camera image here. Now I can tell you the airport, which is at 30 degrees, still reporting some light snowfall. Couple degrees can make a difference in this situation. And I think as we go from 30 to 32 to 34 degrees, eventually more of those snowflakes might start looking more like raindrops. Kind of looking at the sidewalks here, I don't see any built up snow on the sidewalks. I think a little bit of treatment from the parks crew may have helped things along. Look at the boardwalk though. So here's the boardwalk that goes around the Louvre Carousel. Still see a little bit of snow coverage right there. So it might take a little bit longer for at least that little sidewalk to clear up. And that can look like the sidewalk in front of your house, right? If you didn't shovel and if you didn't salt, it's probably snow covered this morning. Now, if you did from a couple days ago, you're probably faring okay in terms of the footing. It might be a little slushy, might very much be wet, but I bet it doesn't look as snowy as that if you put in a little bit of some effort from our earlier snowfall in the week. Because remember, we got about 2 to 4 inches of snow between Monday and Tuesday. But that's what we're looking at right now. I still see a little bit of snow right on the top of the clock tower. I love to see all these live looks because it really can tell a very detailed story when it comes to, hey, is it raining or is it snowing right now? And sometimes we just got to look at the cameras to see exactly what's happening. So here's our current temperature. Some of this updating live for you as we're approaching 11:30. The airport's still reporting 30 degrees. However, it's 33 in Coeur d'Alene. It's 33 in Pullman. It's 34 in Ritzville. So it's starting to warm up even around the high plains of western Spokane County. You even take a zoomed in look at the county. It's 33 at Whitworth, north side of town, 32 in Spokane Valley. So as we approach that freezing mark, we will just see more snow naturally melt. Basically, like your roofs will start dripping water as that snow melts off from the morning. Kind of same in Coeur d'Alene. Again, it looked like it was still snowing in this region, but probably not for too much longer. As a rule of thumb, it can snow as warm as 38 degrees. There's some factors that go into, basically the snowflakes just don't melt yet until it hits the ground. And that's starting to get into the phase that we're getting to. Because of how saturated and how wet the environment is, I think in this case, if we get to 34 degrees, it's going to be all rain at that point. It's none of this like, it could snow. Funny enough, the drier the environment, the more likely it can snow when it's warmer outside, up to 38 degrees. Because of how wet it is, it's basically got to be 32, maybe 33 for a little bit of leeway. You get those wet snowflakes, but those are going to be melting as they hit the ground. My car, again, had about an inch of snow that was held on it. I think it's going to start melting as it's just parked outside as things warm up. So here's how things look kind of from an hour-by-hour perspective. We're going to transition from this rain-snow mix, again, 50-50 rain-snow, to more 80-20 rain, snow by this afternoon. There's 3 p.m., 6 p.m., looking pretty wet for the region, not nearly as much snow. As we get deeper into the night, we might get a break from the snow or even from the rain, and then the rain picks up for Friday morning. That's 6 a.m. and 9 a.m. Looking at way more rain, like 90-10 rain, snow at that point. And once we get into noon on Friday and afterwards, it'll be 100% rain. We are warming up day after day, and it's going to be a very wet weather pattern from here. So here's the last of the snowfall. Here's what to expect for the next 12 hours, remainder of this Thursday. If you're living around I-90 corridor or southward, you're definitely going to get more precipitation. Whether it's snow right now or changing to rain later today, it's still going to be wet. Our latest model that updated did give us a little bit of a resurgence for northeastern Washington. I'm kind of 50-50 on if this is going to happen, but notice how the rain, the green, starts to take over Spokane Valley, and even Liberty Lake. There's even a little bit of pink for Coeur d'Alene. Again, pink representing a wintry mix, a rain-snow mix. So as the weather warms up, there's just more and more rain. Same for Pullman and Moscow. Rain takes over the Palouse, and even that's by 7 p.m. tonight. We continue forward. We'll get a break from the precipitation at night. Look what happens on Friday morning. This is all rain. The blue that you're seeing here, especially like Ponderay County, this is just finding the mountains. The snow levels are still at about 4,000 feet, so the mountains of northeastern Washington, and even Lookout Pass in the mountains of North Idaho will still get some snowfall, but everywhere else low elevation, I think we're going to be rain, even Friday morning, because this is the beginning of our big warm-up trend from here on out. All right, from there, here's the next 12 hours. When I say warm-up trend, we go from, again, you saw the current temperatures at like 30 to 33 degrees. We go to 34 by 4 o'clock. Earlier models had us at 35 even by midnight, so our temperatures just climb. 1 degree, 2 degrees, 3 degrees. They keep climbing. It will not get colder tonight. Temperatures only increase. Even tomorrow morning, we may start the day at about 37 or 38 degrees. And at that point, it will be too warm for it to snow, so we're back to a rain forecast. So now we're going to shift our perspective from today's snow, freezing rain, wintry mix into a lot of rain and a lot of warmth for December. Tomorrow, I'm guaranteeing rainfall for the region, 100% there. Saturday's not too bad, a 30% chance for some scattered showers. Sunday looks pretty wet at 70%, and then kind of a coin flip, 50-50 for Monday and Tuesday. Tuesday is going to be an interesting day. Could be a wet day, could be a windy day. Very much looks like a warm day. Warm for December. Could be close to record highs. Put that feather in your cap for now. Here's this weekend. 44 on Saturday. 46 degrees on Sunday. This is well above average for the season. For Spokane, we bottom out fast in the winter. Our average high temperature drops to 33 degrees for Christmas. So we're almost 10 degrees above what our normal high temperature will be this weekend. Scattered showers and mild for Saturday. As you saw, only about a 30% chance of rain. So that's not too bad for this first December weekend. Sunday rain is likely, but warmer yet. We just don't stop there in terms of the warmth. It will keep churning over, not just warmer and warmer, but wetter and wetter. I ran the model for the next 7 days in terms of rainfall, and what I found here was a very wet scenario for the Pacific Northwest. Basically, it's not just today, it's not just tomorrow. You're adding Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all 7 days had at least a chance for rain. Some of those more than others, some of those heavier rain than others. Looks like for our region, we're going to be close to almost a full inch of rain in the next 7 days. It's not all going to fall on one day, but it is going to add up over time. Now, our friends out on the west side, especially if you look at the Puget Sound, the modeling even goes 4 to 5 inches of rain in that same time span. So the Cascades are still going to wring out and prevent a lot of that moisture, a large fraction of that moisture from arriving. But this is still a soaker. Now, the snow's not going to stick around, but the wet roads and just that wet weather pattern absolutely stays day after day. So here's how that looks from a big picture perspective. This is Future Tracker, but a longer range computer model. So I use a wider view at the same time. I label this as a huge warm up, but it's really the rain and the warmth at the same time. You saw there was at least one storm system that rides the jet stream here. That happened on Sunday, hence the very likelihood of rainfall there. The jet stream itself arches in this ridge pattern that always gives us warmer than average conditions. That's why our temperatures are expected to warm even if it's going to be cloudy and even if it's going to be rainy. It's the ridge that takes over that pattern. Because let's face it, in the wintertime, it's kind of cloudy either way, whether it's warm or cold. It all depends on just how that atmospheric setup is. So a nice big ridge helps us out on Sunday. So even with that rainfall, look, another storm comes in. That one looked pretty wet. Not sure if these are going to be atmospheric rivers or not, but these were wet storm systems. Here's Tuesday, still have that big ridge. So as it just amplifies and sits over the west coast, everyone's going to get well warmer than average. Just a matter of exactly how much rainfall we're expecting in that time frame. So here's next week's outlook just from the temperature perspective. Basically, it's a one wavelength pattern. You can almost see it in the jet stream. You can almost see the jet stream arching over the west coast, and it actually digs into a trough shape, meaning that the Great Lakes in the northeast is going to be colder than average at the same time. So quite a yin and yang situation, warm and cold. So as we get into the Pacific Northwest, yes, the signals are very much there. It's much stronger to the south, like California and Arizona and New Mexico, well warmer than average. For us, our big warm up, our heat wave, as I've been trying to tout it as, will put us in the 40s this weekend, maybe just maybe 50 degrees next week. Now 50 can be a stretch. If we're talking about 50-degree days, we have to start talking about potential record highs. I have to double check. I think Tuesday's record high is 52 degrees. Most of our records are like 51 to 55 in the month of December, and I am forecasting 50 degrees. Now our modeling gives us more of a calmer mid-40s here, but just the shape of that ridge made me think it's got to be warmer than that. I think that ridge was going to be powerful enough to put us in the 50s. It's just a matter of how strong the winds could be and just how much warmth and transport the wind could give our region. So I do go 50 degrees for Tuesday, which very much could be in the realm of record high territory. So when I say today is just the first step of that ladder, it quite literally is. I go a high of 35 degrees today, and that's why any rain or snow from the morning is just going to be more all rain by the afternoon. And that's just the stepping stone. Go from a wintry mix today to almost 40 degrees and rain tomorrow, mid 40s Saturday, Sunday, and we keep climbing. Upper 40s on Monday with more rain, 50 degrees for Tuesday. So that's the climb that we're going to make in these next several days. And it's been hard to detail exactly how warm it's going to be in most of our newscasts, since we've been so focused on the snow and the freezing rain potential this morning. But realize that this is going to be a big part of our forecast for the weekend and week ahead. So get ready for warm weather. Now it's going to be wet. Every single day has at least a chance of rain. Today included, just a matter of getting rid of the snow first. So we'll wrap things up pretty shortly here. We're going to recap what to expect for the rest of the day today, as you just saw what will happen for the days ahead. We have winter weather advisories that go until 1 p.m. for Coeur d'Alene, Ritzville, and Grand Coulee. Spokane is not included in that. Our winter weather advisory was allowed to expire at 10 a.m. earlier today. Road conditions are actually faring okay. Might still be snowing or misting or drizzling in some of those regions. And here is your latest on our Doppler radar. Still looks like it's snowing along I-90 and southward, close to Cheney, Liberty Lake, Post Falls, Coeur d'Alene, and south from there through the Palouse. Could get up to 2 inches of snow for the Silver Valley between now and the end of the day. Most of us are just going to experience slush and warming conditions in the afternoon. That means in Spokane, once it stops snowing, it's only going to be rain for the rest of the day, and then we'll get into that warming trend from there. Very complicated forecast, very messy, but it's going to be wet one way or another. But expecting road conditions to generally improve for the rest of this Thursday, but still mind some side streets and sidewalks that might have been left unshoveled. I'm meteorologist Thomas Patrick. Thanks for joining us on this KREM 2 Plus live stream today. Of course, we will have the latest on today's winter weather on KREM 2 News at noon. So make sure to join us then. Stay safe on the roads today. Otherwise, enjoy a big warm up for the days ahead. Have a great day, everyone, and stay safe.